Welcome to a gripping tale of second chances, dark secrets, and the ultimate karma. When two sisters are given the rare opportunity to rewind time and relive their lives from the moment of their adoption, their choices send them down drastically different paths. One chooses the allure of wealth, only to find a gilded cage. The other chooses hard work and finds her true family. Set against the backdrop of American high society, elite universities, and cutthroat corporate empires, this story explores what happens when jealousy turns deadly, and how the family we choose can be the one that saves us. Dive in. My sister pushed me in front of a wealthy socialite. "Sister, go with the nice lady and her husband. I'm willing to give this opportunity to you." Her voice was full of excitement and urgency. The affluent woman's gaze shifted to my somewhat thin and shallow face. "Would you like to come home with me?" Only then did I snap back to reality. My sister and I had been reborn, returning to the day the children at the foster home were being adopted. This year, I was 7 years old, and my sister was 6. The wealthy socialite before me was the wicked woman my sister spoke of in our previous life, Mrs. Sterling. In our past life, my sister took the initiative to approach Mrs. Sterling, tilting her head up and blinking her large grape-like eyes as she cooed sweetly, "Mommy, I want to be your daughter. Take me with you." And just like that, my sister was the first to be taken in by Mrs. Sterling and adopted into the Sterling family, renamed Jane Sterling. She thought she had stepped into high society, eagerly anticipating the life of a wealthy little princess, daydreaming about the plots in young adult romance novels. She imagined a forbidden love story between the young heir of the wealthy family and his adopted sister. But she never expected her new parents to be cold toward her. And Cole, the young heir of the Sterling family, was even worse, showing no affection whatsoever, treating her with less warmth than a stranger. Still delusional, she even tried to seduce Cole after the tragic deaths of Mr. and Mrs. Sterling. Cole directly kicked her out of the house. Not only was there no romantic love, but she didn't get a single penny either. As for me, on the same day in our past life, I was adopted a bit later by an ordinary family of high school teachers who came to the foster home. From a young age, I was known as a beautiful and top-performing student, excelling academically, and eventually getting into an Ivy League university, dedicating myself to cutting-edge technology research. Later, Julian, the heir of the powerful Vance family, pursued me openly, causing a huge media sensation throughout the city. On the day she was driven out of the Sterling estate, the electronic billboard in Times Square was broadcasting live coverage of my grand wedding with Julian Vance. My sister was so overwhelmed with resentment that she drove a car to kill me, and only then did I realize she regretted her past choices. Now, given a second chance, she didn't hesitate to push me in front of Mrs. Sterling. I fulfilled my sister's wish and agreed to the adoption. "I do, Mom." Before leaving, my younger sister ran up to me and whispered in my ear, "Sister, this time, Julian is mine. I want you to taste the misery of my past life. Just wait to be kicked out of the wealthy family." The foster home director gave my sister a strange look and muttered, "Jane has always been so selfish. Why would she let her sister have the rich family this time? Has she suddenly grown a conscience?" No wonder the director would say that. Normally, I always prioritized my own younger sister, making sure she never went hungry if there was even a bite of food to spare. She grew up fair and plump, while I became sallow, thin, and malnourished. The director found it strange. But to me, it was no surprise at all. It wasn't out of a guilty conscience. She was simply vicious to the core. She took my previous care for her for granted, developing a selfish nature that completely disregarded others' feelings. She thought the reason I achieved such excellent grades in my past life was because I was adopted by a pair of teachers with a harmonious family atmosphere, growing up in a loving household. However, true hell awaits her. Since she wanted to live my past life, I'll grant her wish. I got into the Rolls-Royce with Mrs. Sterling. As we reached the foster home's front gate, through the half-open car window, I caught a fleeting, triumphant smile on my sister's face. A sudden sense of satisfaction washed over me. My dear sister, little does she know what kind of days await her next. Does she? The car quickly drove into a luxurious estate. In my past life, I had been here before. I was used as a bargaining chip for my sister to show off. But in this life, I will make use of the resources here to live my own life well. From now on, this will be your home. Starting today, your name is Lily. Mrs. Sterling led me into the house, and I deliberately acted a bit uneasy. Mrs. Sterling patted my shoulder reassuringly, not minding my tattered, dust-covered clothes. A man was sitting on the living room sofa. I recognized him. Mr. Sterling, a business tycoon, possessing financial strength, comparable to the Vance family. Just then, a bright and handsome young boy descended the stairs. It was Cole, 3 years older than me. The father and son were indeed not very warm. Mr. Sterling gave me a faint smile. Don't be nervous. We'll be family from now on. Cole merely glanced at me indifferently, frowned, and turned to go upstairs. I didn't care about their attitude towards me right now. I just wanted to have a comfortable environment for my growth. Mrs. Sterling prepared a room for me that was the same size as Cole's, decorated in light blue, which I really liked. But in my past life, I had been in this room before, the one that once belonged to Jane Sterling, with its very pink, princess-style decor. Luxurious jewelry and expensive dresses were piled up everywhere. From this, it was evident that Mrs. Sterling cared deeply for her adopted daughter. I truly didn't understand why my sister in her past life kept calling her adoptive mother that poisonous woman over and over. How did she manage to get herself to the point of being kicked out with nothing but the clothes on her back? I attended the same prestigious private elementary school as Cole. Don't tell anyone you know me when we're in public. The young boy shook the bangs from his forehead, carrying his designer backpack over one shoulder, his face full of arrogance. With that, he immediately turned around and got into the chauffeured SUV, but didn't close the car door. Waiting for me, I smiled and said, "Okay, big brother." Cole widened his eyes. "And don't call me brother, either. Because I was delayed for a year in the foster home, I entered first grade when I started school. Unsurprisingly, I met my sister, Jane Miller. Just like in my previous life, we also attended the same school. She no longer had the joy of her rebirth at the foster home last time, and the light in her eyes had dimmed considerably. When she saw me, she bared her teeth, her eyes filled with resentment. "Lily Sterling, did you do this on purpose? You also got reborn, didn't you? You deliberately pushed me into the fire." I dropped a sentence. "My name is Lily. If you're mentally ill, go get a therapist." I walked past her into the classroom. Jane stared at me intently, trying to read something from my expression. I wasn't in the mood to play nice with her. With an expressionless face, I walked to the farthest corner of the classroom and sat down. In my past life, I was adopted by the Miller family and became their only daughter. In the eyes of others, this was a family of academics where both parents were teachers dedicated to educating the youth, and my life seemed happy and perfect. But in the unseen darkness, I suffered daily torment. They assigned me SAT prep and advanced AP exercises beyond my knowledge every day, and I wasn't allowed to eat if I couldn't solve them. Under my clothes, there were unhealed scars. Sometimes, when they were in a bad mood, I would be locked in a completely dark, cramped basement storage closet. The longest time was 2 days and 1 night. Since then, I've been afraid to turn off the lights or stay in the dark. Even the slightest glimmer of light is a comfort. I endured silently, not daring to stop my studies. Back then, I was too young to resist, forced to accept their arrangements time and time again. It wasn't until I entered college that I gathered enough evidence to take them to court and sever all ties with them completely. But just one day before I planned to expose everything, my dear sister crashed into me, leaving me battered and broken. Fortunately, heaven took pity on me and gave me a chance to start over. Since coming to the Sterling family, my life has been 100 times better than in my previous life. Only then did I realize that all of Jane's accusations against the Sterling family in my past life were fabricated. They weren't overly affectionate with me, but they didn't mistreat me either. My daily expenses and lifestyle were exactly the same as Cole's. He often checked in on me and never pressured me to achieve any particular heights. After several years of peaceful coexistence, Cole's relationship with me evolved from, "Don't call me brother," to, "From now on, you can only call me brother." It was only by chance that I found out Cole suffers from alexithymia, an emotional detachment disorder. The reason they went to the foster home to adopt a child was because Miss Sterling had suffered complications during childbirth and could no longer bear children. The Sterlings were usually very busy with their corporate empire. On the doctor's advice, Cole could take medication as prescribed, and they could also find him a playmate. Initially, Mrs. Sterling had indeed taken a liking to the more lively and adorable younger sister. But Mrs. Sterling immediately noticed the calculating resistance in the little girl's eyes, which is why she ended up choosing me instead. Now, under the Sterling family's pampering, there's no trace left of my former malnourished self. But Jane is different. Since elementary school, her focus in class had been entirely on me. From time to time, she would glare at me with eerie eyes. The curriculum from elementary to middle school didn't pose much difficulty for her. But after entering high school, Jane's complexion grew increasingly worse. At one point, she became so thin, she was almost unrecognizable, her grades barely scraped by. The Millers, perhaps fearing Child Protective Services, might notice something amiss. Didn't push her to the brink of death. Jane kept persevering through gritted teeth. Maybe she held on to a belief that as long as she could get into a top university, she would break free from the Miller family like I did in my past life, and meet the heir of the Vance family. She was also waiting for the day I would be kicked out of the Sterling family. But heaven does not favor those who seek unearned gains. What right does she have to stand at the pinnacle? She witnessed the scene of the entire Sterling family escorting me to the SAT testing center. And she saw me being the first to walk out of the exam hall, giving interviews to local news reporters as a National Merit Scholar, posing for a heartwarming group photo with the other 3 members of the Sterling family. Through the crowd, I saw her wave at me, as if she wanted to say something. Given her academic performance, I didn't think we'd end up at the same university, and for many years after, we wouldn't cross paths again. So I greeted my adoptive parents and walked toward her alone. Jane's eyes were shadowed by dark circles she couldn't hide, with sunken sockets and a venomous expression. For a moment, I felt as if her furious expression in the car from my past life had overlapped with the present. I remained calm. "What's the matter?" Jane's face twisted with undisguised malice. "How dare you live so happily? You should have died with Mom and Dad. How dare you steal my life? Those are my mom and dad." As she spoke, she raised her arm to strike me. My pupils trembled violently as I covered the scar on my arm. I didn't dodge, but her slap never reached my face. It was Cole. He stood like a solid oak tree, upright by my side, shielding me from Jane's swinging hand. His gaze was cold and heavy as he stared at Jane. "What are you doing?" Jane broke free from his grip in disbelief. "Brother, you're actually siding with her?" Cole scoffed. "She's my sister. If I don't help her, should I help you?" Jane was provoked. "I'm your sister." "Brother Cole, I'm Jane." Cole was so startled by the crazed address that he took 2 steps back, still holding on to me. "Lily, let's go quickly. There's something crazy here." I remained silent, letting him lead me away. Jane's words reminded me of that fire we no longer wished to mention. The mom and dad Jane spoke of were our biological parents. They were ordinary blue-collar workers, but we lived a relatively happy life. Dad would occasionally bring us 2 delicate little cupcakes from the bakery after work. Mom would French braid our hair every day, buy us 2 pretty dresses from Target, and send us to school together. But I couldn't understand why they suddenly changed. My sister was sweet-tongued. She loved clinging to Dad and acting spoiled, making me give my cupcake to her. My sister was charming. She loved clinging to Mom and acting spoiled, making us play pretend where she was the princess, and I was the maid. Over time, when Dad came home from work, the 2 cupcakes he brought for us were both given to my younger sister. I would only get to eat what she couldn't finish. Mom no longer braided my hair. In the days that followed, it became my job to brush my sister's hair first. And only then could I do my own. The clothes my sister didn't want would be given to me as hand-me-downs after they became worn. I didn't understand. I resisted. I cried and threw tantrums. What I got in return were my parents' scorn and mockery. Jane is your younger sister. What's wrong with giving in to her a little? She's so adorable. And you? You can't even utter a word for half a day. But Mom and Dad, I wasn't like this before. Each futile resistance only made me grow more silent and withdrawn. Perhaps I have changed. It's okay if Mom and Dad don't love me as much. They can give more love to my adorable little sister. That's what 5-year-old me thought. One day, my younger sister insisted that I play along with her favorite scenario, a maid serving a princess. The maid had to personally bake pastries for the princess. I couldn't do it. I stood frozen at the kitchen door. So, once again, I faced my parents' scolding. It's just acting. Why are you being so dramatic? Didn't we teach you before? I had no choice but to move a small step stool and place it in front of the stove, turning on the gas knob. The fire didn't catch, but there was a sizzling sound accompanied by a pungent smell. I didn't know what it was. I stood frozen in place, not daring to move. My little sister came in waving a doll in her hand. A whiff of perfume masked the pungent smell coming from the gas stove. I didn't know how to light the fire. After hesitating for a long time, I finally decided to ask Mom for help. Mom, I didn't learn how to do it. Mom rolled her eyes. So clueless. Wonder who she takes after. Dad also stood up, looking around. Where's Jane? I said. In the kitchen. Dad frowned and followed Mom into the kitchen, still muttering. The kitchen is so dangerous. Jane shouldn't get burned. So, they do know it's dangerous. Then why did they let me go in? I followed them inside, and the 4 of us made the kitchen feel a bit cramped. I went out again. Perhaps with 3 people it wouldn't be so crowded. Before turning back, I noticed the microwave light was on. Could it be my sister's doll? I had only taken a few steps when I heard a violent explosion from the kitchen. Flames instantly engulfed the entire room. Finally, Dad, his whole body engulfed in flames, pushed my sister out. Both my sister and I were stunned. It wasn't until my sister's heart-wrenching cries reached me that I snapped out of it, grabbed her hand, and we ran out of the house together. Our neighbor helped us call 911 the moment the house was consumed. Seeing my charred parents, I felt only confusion about the future and a dark sense of liberating relief. I am not a good child. That's what 6-year-old me thought. Lily, are you even listening to me? A sharp flick on the forehead from Cole snapped me out of my daze. Only then did I realize I was already sitting in the SUV on the way home. Looking at Cole's slightly worried face, I forced a smile and casually made an excuse. I'm just a bit tired. Cole averted his gaze. Just cry if you want to. There's no shame in not doing perfectly on an exam. His emotional indifference had improved a lot. He was learning to care for his family and to care about me. I knew he was trying to divert my attention. It's okay. That fire is already too far away from me. As distant as 2 lifetimes. During that year at the foster home, my younger sister kept accusing me, saying I was the one who burned our parents to death. Is it really me? Amidst guilt and constant doubt, I unconsciously took on the responsibilities of an elder sister. I gave her the meals provided by the institution and the clothes donated by local charities. Just like that. In a daze, a year passed by until the arrival of Mrs. Sterling and the Millers. From then on, I could finally eat my fill. That's what I thought at the age of 7. But little did I know, even after changing my living environment, I still wouldn't have many full meals. But at least I'm not the dull child my mother called me. I'm smart, and I work hard. On the day the Ivy League acceptance letters came out, the Sterling family threw a huge celebration for me. None of them were particularly fond of massive crowds, but they really wanted to show off their outstanding daughter. Even Cole didn't get this kind of treatment. Because I was this year's top national STEM scholar, just as I had been in my previous life. Out of kindness, the Sterlings invited the Miller family, because they knew I still had a biological younger sister. They hoped my sister could witness this glorious moment of mine. They thought my sister would be proud of me for getting a full ride to Stanford. But they were wrong. At the country club banquet, I met Mr. and Mrs. Miller for the first time in my current life. I didn't need a mirror to know my expression was unpleasant at that moment. I must have looked a bit pale. Cole noticed something was off with me, and took my hand. So warm. Holding my hand, he led me into the grand hall step by step, and my heart gradually settled. Cole and I had just walked up to his parents when we heard a dull thud. All the smiling faces around us turned toward the sound, only to see a girl kneeling on the marble floor about 10 feet away from us. It was my sister Jane. The cheerful atmosphere instantly turned into one of awkwardness and confusion among the wealthy onlookers. Cole narrowed his eyes slightly. Is this the psycho who tried to hit you that day? Before I could answer, Mr. and Mrs. Sterling were visibly shocked. Mrs. Sterling pulled me over worriedly, looking me up and down. What happened? Was Lily bullied? I shook my head and smiled at Mrs. Sterling. No. My brother protected me. Mr. Sterling glared at Jane, who was still kneeling on the ground, with an unfriendly look. Young lady, this is not the place for you to cause a scene. Jane suddenly raised her head, smoothing her slightly disheveled hair, revealing a pair of hopeful eyes. Dad, I'm Jane. I'm your real daughter. Please save me. They're going to beat me to death. Whispers filled the surrounding air. Mr. and Mrs. Sterling, along with Cole, wore identical expressions deeply furrowing their brows. Mr. Sterling continued. You're Lily's sister, Jane Miller. You're certainly not our daughter. In their entire lives, the Sterlings had never met Jane, except for Mrs. Sterling that one day at the orphanage. This opening act of kneeling and falsely claiming paternity had already left them with an extremely poor impression of Jane. Cole stepped forward, completely blocking me from view. Oh, so you're Jane. How dare you try to hit your sister last time, and even think about taking her home? Are you delusional? Jane was utterly crushed, collapsing onto the cold floor. The Millers, who entered a moment later, turned grim the instant they saw this scene. Mrs. Miller pretended to be concerned as she helped Jane up. Jane, is the pressure of the AP exams getting to you lately? Come on, get up. Today is your sister's celebration banquet. I saw Mrs. Miller's fingers dig into Jane's arm, the skin beneath her nails turning faintly white. With unexpected strength, Jane violently shook off Mrs. Miller's hand, and, with a sliding kneel, lunged straight at Cole. If Cole had reacted a bit slower, Jane would have directly grabbed his leg. Jane missed, and fell to the ground, loudly accusing the Miller couple of their misdeeds. They adopted me and forced me to study. If my grades weren't good, they wouldn't feed me. They even hit me. They often lock me in the basement closet. There are spiders in there. Woo! Woo! They're not my mom and dad. Sister, can we switch back, please? I beg you. Jane's tears fell in large drops, paired with her thin, pale face. What a pitiful sight to behold. But I could still see the traces of her performance. Not much improvement from when she was 6 years old. The hatred in her eyes wasn't well concealed. She also rolled up her long sleeves, revealing some faint bruises on her arms. Mr. Miller wore an apologetic smile as he slowly approached us. This must be Jane's sister, Lily, right? This year's top Stanford admit from our district. Very impressive. Then he lowered his head to look at Jane, who was still sobbing. My daughter caused you trouble today. And I'm truly sorry. Normally, we are indeed quite strict in educating Jane. We are both educators, and always hope our daughter can stand out and achieve great things. Those present who had children couldn't help but feel empathetic toward the parents. Compared to my outstanding academic performance, Jane's complaints about the Millers seemed trivial and harmless. What's wrong with grounding a disobedient child if they don't study properly? What's wrong with forcing you to study? Want to run out and party? What's wrong with locking you in your room? With a casual remark, Mr. Miller deflected all of Jane's accusations. Mrs. Sterling patted her chest in relief. Thank goodness we adopted Lily back then. I lowered my eyes and smiled faintly. Jane, how foolish. If it were that simple, would I have waited until after college? In my past life to expose them? In my previous life, I was admitted to an Ivy League university, with a perfect SAT score. Right after freshman orientation, the Millers moved to an apartment near the university and arbitrarily withdrew me from my dorm without my consent. They ordered me to live with them and commute. I could barely breathe. However, living with them also gave me an opportunity. While they were at work, I installed hidden nanny cams in their bedroom, study, and living room. Finally, I discovered the secret the couple had been keeping. They had fostered several children. Not as smart as me, not as tough as me. Some were sent back into the system. Some disappeared entirely. They used me to solve complex equations, making me write continuously, and then published my problem-solving algorithms under their names in renowned academic journals to secure tenure. In my sophomore year, I went to the police with evidence captured by a hidden camera, only to be told that secretly recorded videos in private residences violated wiretapping laws and couldn't be used to file a case without a warrant. If you want to report a case, you must obtain evidence through legal means. Just as I was wandering helplessly on the steps of the precinct, I met Julian, the young heir of the Vance family. Rumor said that the young heir of Vance Corp was a notorious playboy, never keeping a girlfriend for more than a month. Yet, for one person, he settled down and pursued her for a full 2 years. Jane thought Julian was the billionaire partner she had always dreamed of. But she didn't know that Julian was the darkest abyss. In this life, the Miller family has nothing to do with me anymore. I no longer need to exhaust myself trying to steal their evidence of crimes. Mr. and Mrs. Sterling personally helped me pick out luxury dorm essentials, and Cole helped me move my luggage. Cole and I attend Stanford together. He studies finance, while I still chose physics. It's said that Cole is quite the popular figure on campus, a true frat boy heartthrob minus the frat boy attitude. When my roommates found out Cole was my brother, they were beyond excited. He comes from old money, has excellent character, and outstanding academic performance. Truly, a high-quality man. I think they're right. Since Cole's condition gradually improved, he has become much more cheerful. No longer the cold and gloomy sociopath Jane described in her past life. I don't think Jane will live to see the day I'm kicked out of the Sterling family, because Cole personally told me, Lily will always be family. I smiled, and said I believed it. My college roommates are also very kind. Unfortunately, I never experienced dorm life in my previous life, but I've enjoyed it in this lifetime. They would brew chamomile tea and give me heating pads during my period. We'd cover for each other, when occasionally skipping an 8 a.m. lecture. We would discuss together which dining hall had the most edible food. We would also secretly gather to drool over Instagram photos of the hottest guys from the athletic department. I was so happy. But my happiness didn't last long. In my sophomore year, I encountered Jane, arm in arm with Julian Vance, appearing before me on the campus quad. Jane's face had regained its plumpness, glowing with health, and when she looked at me, there was a hint of smugness. Long time no see, sis. Julian's gaze also drifted subtly across my face, as if appraising a commodity, calculating its worth. I turned away indifferently. Unwilling to engage, Jane shouted behind me, Julian has already helped me terminate the adoption relationship with the Miller family. I paused for a moment, understanding dawning in my heart. It must have been Jane, who sought out Julian in advance, and asked for his legal and financial help. Ridiculous. Does Jane think I cut ties with them in my past life because of Julian? I said coldly to her. Congratulations. Congratulations, little sister, on reaching another turning point in your life, and stepping into the next abyss. Faintly, the sound of Jane coquettishly whining to Julian could be heard from behind. Julian. Babe. My sister is such a buzzkill. I don't want to see her at this school. It seems that Jane must have endured for a year to transfer into Stanford. After all, her grades in her past life weren't bad either. She took advantage of her memories to cozy up to Julian. The Vance family is indeed very powerful, but even they can't completely dominate Ivy League administrations. Jane's attempt to use Julian's connections to get me expelled is nothing but a pipe dream. Just like in my previous life, I joined the advanced physics research team I'm passionate about. My mentor, Dr. Warren, is one of the top experts in the field nationwide. He values me highly. It's impossible for me to be easily dismissed just because a billionaire's son wields his trust fund. Besides, my identity as a daughter of the Sterling family is public in this lifetime. If Julian wants to move against me, he'll have to consider whether Sterling Enterprises would allow a corporate war. Sure enough, one day, while I was deeply engrossed in my research, Dr. Warren came to me. I immediately thought of Julian and Jane. Seeing my pale face, the professor patted my shoulder. Don't worry, you're my star student. I know you wouldn't go looking for trouble. If you're feeling threatened, don't keep it bottled up. The university is here for you. I nodded gratefully. Thank you, Professor. I'm not the competitive type. I just want to live a peaceful life. I don't want anyone to disrupt my current way of living. Some bastards will only chase and bite harder the more you run and avoid them. Kill the threat directly. Today's news feeds are flooded with reports, 80% of which are dedicated to Julian Vance. Number heir of the Vance family suspected of running high-end escort ring, arrested by FBI. The rich really know how to play. Number Vance Corporation raided by IRS for tax fraud. Number Vance family involved in organized crime syndicate. Watching that heavily pixelated leaked video on Twitter, I felt a deep sense of discomfort. In my past life, I was the one who got pixelated. The dorm sofa beside me sank slightly as Cole sat down next to me. What are you looking at? Why so sad? Today is your 20th birthday. The impending collapse of the Vance family empire is also the birthday gift I've given myself. I turned off my iPhone and flashed a bright smile. It's nothing. Cole hesitated, as if wanting to say something, but ultimately remained silent, bringing out an exquisitely decorated cake from a high-end bakery. A cake meant for me, alone. I closed my eyes to make a wish. I hope the stars and the sea will not betray our youth. I hope through spring, summer, autumn, and winter, we'll weather every storm together. I evenly divided the cake into 4 equal portions, packing slices for Mr. Sterling, Mrs. Sterling, and handing one to my older brother. Through the warm glow of the candlelight, I saw the clear smile in Cole's eyes. The Vance family's federal case shocked the nation, receiving unprecedented media attention. However, on the day of the public trial, Jane appeared in federal court as a victim. She tearfully testified in front of the live cameras and the entire nation, describing how she was deceived by Julian's charm and wealth, and how she was drugged and taken to that disgraceful private VIP room in his club. Her account was pitiful to the extreme. Previously, the public was unaware that one of the women in the numerous blurred TMZ videos was Jane. Now, it had been revealed by her own words. Public opinion about her online was divided for a time. She recounted the first, second, and third time she was forced into the club. The federal judge's expression nearly cracked, promptly stopping Jane's testimony. Your Honor, I'd like to say one last thing. Jane wiped away the tear stains on her face, her expression resolute, her eyes filled with sorrow and defiance. The victims are not at fault. I am a victim, but I will also live in the sunlight. We must bravely step forward and face the painful past, shatter it, crush it, and finally, the judge, with a cold expression, heartlessly interrupted Jane's impassioned speech. Do not speak of matters unrelated to this case. Through the phone screen, I observed Jane and felt she had become smarter. Jane capitalized on this wave of media popularity, going live on TikTok and Instagram every day, and becoming an internet celebrity with millions of followers. If she doesn't stir up trouble, her future days will be smooth sailing. But during her live stream that day, Jane appeared on camera with her cheeks swollen and red. As soon as she logged on, thousands of fans began asking what had happened to her face, wondering if she had been assaulted. Actually, sigh. Her hesitation only further piqued the fans' curiosity, making them even more eager to press for answers. Cash donations and virtual gifts flooded the screen. Jane covered her face, her eyes glistening with tears, and suddenly burst into bitter laughter. Actually, I have an older sister. I was cyberbullied, even trending on Twitter with my name glaringly displayed. My phone keeps popping up with unfamiliar calls and texts, and people keep adding me on Snapchat and Instagram. Those people don't actually want to support me. They just want me to see all kinds of abusive words in their DMs. These words can't hurt me. But the Sterling family has been affected. I found the screen recording of Jane's live stream. Let's see what kind of mischief she's up to. My sister was 5 years old when she burned our biological parents to death. We stayed in the foster system for a year. A wealthy man, named Mr. Sterling, wanted to adopt me. But my sister manipulated the situation and took the opportunity first. I was later adopted by another family, but they treated me like livestock. Every day I was covered in countless wounds, which nearly drove me to a mental breakdown and caused my grades to plummet. Later, I spent a year recuperating, started studying hard again, got into Stanford, and my sister introduced me to Julian Vance. I thought Julian was my salvation, but I never expected. Woo. Every single incident, every detail, the facts were completely twisted by her. The comments below were all comforting her, along with death threats aimed at me. I don't know why she harbors such intense hatred towards me. I don't know if my dear little sister, who was 4 years old at the time, still remembers. She personally placed the doll sprayed with flammable perfume into the microwave and turned it on. I remember it all too clearly. In my previous life, I was trapped in the memories of that day for years, locked in a pitch-dark basement, torturing myself by reliving the memories over and over, closing my eyes. It felt as if the raging flames could ignite the darkness I was in back then. I remember that doll dressed in ugly, tattered clothes, with messy golden hair. I remember a small post-it note stuck on it, scrawled with my name in crooked handwriting. Who exactly killed their own parents? I have faults. But should all the blame fall on me? But I have no evidence. The doll, like our biological parents, has long turned to ash. Jane had indeed become smarter. The words she spoke, preemptive and deeply ingrained in the public's minds, would make any counter-arguments from me seem like mere PR excuses. Even if the Sterling family stepped forward to clarify, it would only be dismissed as billionaires covering up for their own. Cole changed my SIM card for me. A large hand gently patted my head. Don't worry, I'll take care of it. At some point, Cole's habit of flicking my forehead had changed to gently patting my hair. I stood on tiptoe and playfully knocked on Cole's head with a smile. Okay, I've always trusted him, but I'll return every knuckle rap he gave me on the head. Seeking peace and quiet, I spent a week holed up in the physics lab, until Dr. Warren tearfully announced our project's success. I blinked back the tears that threatened to spill. I had completed the experiment that I hadn't finished in my previous life. Half of my 20th birthday wish came true. The starry sea. Living up to our youth. During the week I was immersed in the project, the stock price of Sterling Enterprises dropped significantly. It's not that I'm watching helplessly, but that I can't help at all. I opened the door to the estate, and saw Mrs. Sterling sitting on the sofa, looking somewhat weary. When she saw me come in, she forced a smile. Mrs. Sterling stood up to greet me. Lily, why are you back? Are you tired? You've lost weight. I'll have the private chef prepare a warm bowl of chicken soup for you to nourish yourself. I held Mrs. Sterling's hand and whispered softly. Mom, don't worry about me. How is everything at home? Mrs. Sterling looked concerned and said, Don't worry about home. The corporate matters can be handled by the 2 grown men. It's you. Don't pay attention to all that nonsense online. I nodded obediently in response. Actually, the public opinion had been shifting little by little every day. For the past week, insiders had been continuously leaking information to the tabloids. They were leaking the truth about me, and about Jane. Plus, Jane had been live streaming daily, with a face looking like a beaten pulp, keeping the drama trending. Someone had compiled all the true leaks about me and Jane over the past 2 days. There were also some people who were high school classmates with Jane, all posting on TikTok to recount her disgraceful, abusive behavior back in the day. I registered an Twitter account and posted my first update. At Lily Sterling. I won't fall into the self-justification trap when slandered. If I'm guilty, let the evidence speak. Within minutes, the official corporate account of Sterling Enterprises retweeted it. At Sterling Corp. Official. But I won't allow my little princess to be slandered. Evidence of defamation has been collected. And the Sterling legal team is ready. Cole had already started his executive internship at the company. And Mr. Sterling was gradually handing over responsibilities to him. This tweet was definitely sent by Cole without PR authorization, but I was very happy about it. Then, another post quickly rose to the top of trending topics. At Dr. Warren, Stanford Physics. Congratulations to our institute for successfully overcoming the challenges of the Heavy Ion Collider today. Special thanks to my student, Lily Sterling, and all the researchers for their tremendous contributions to the nation's scientific endeavors. Stay passionate and true to your original aspirations. I am proud of you. The online sentiment completely shifted. Most people have common sense, and the voices slandering me diminished significantly. As for the few remaining trolls who attacked just to vent or out of malice, they weren't worth worrying about. Jane quickly deactivated all her social media accounts and disappeared from the internet. I noticed something off about Cole lately. The way he looked at me was strange, always with a hint of caution and nervousness. Why do you keep following me? Cole averted his gaze, snorted coldly, and ignored me. Yet his footsteps didn't pause for a moment. Following closely behind me on the bustling, lively street, I felt a touch of coldness on my face. Looking up, it's snowing. Suddenly, I remembered. Today is the anniversary of my death in my past life. The first snow came unexpectedly, just like Jane's car. Cole and I bought some coffee and headed home. At the estate's front gate, a car speeding towards us came rushing at high velocity. I could clearly see Jane's ferocious face through the windshield. It overlapped with the previous life. Muttering something, I couldn't hear or see clearly. I couldn't move anymore, until the violent crash exploded in my ears. Cole's low voice came through the ringing in my head. This time, I saved you. Jane went to federal prison for attempted vehicular manslaughter. I went to see her for the last time in her life. Through the thick plexiglass, I picked up the receiver and spoke first. Do you remember putting a doll in the microwave? Jane's expression gradually shifted from resentment to pure terror. I watched her break down and scream until she was dragged away behind the thick iron door by the corrections officers. A famous philosopher once said that human nature is inherently evil. I think so too. After all, it was perfectly demonstrated by my own younger sister. I strive to overcome the negative and selfish thoughts and behaviors within me, restraining myself with morality and law. My sister completely unleashed her malice. And in the end, it all came back to her. Both my sister and I lacked love. Lacking love is not shameful. Through repeated trials and errors, I found my love with my genuine heart. But my sister, whenever someone threw out a meaty bone as bait, she eagerly rushed forward, trying to gain the most love with the least effort. How could that be possible? Even your closest sister doesn't love you anymore, Cole had said. I finally saved everyone. Jane's side story. I vaguely remember having very happy times in my childhood. I think my mom and dad are the best parents in the world. They love me very much. But why do they still love my sister? For the first time, I felt the desire to take all of my parents' love for myself. My sister should love me too. Instead of sharing our parents' love with me, when I was 4 years old, imitating a scene from a TV cartoon, I told my sister to go make some snacks for me. I saw flames shooting up to the sky. It was all my sister's fault. She blew up the kitchen, killed mom and dad, and made me lose my parents. I hate her. But I'm only 4 years old. I just hate her simply. We were taken to the foster system, as usual. My sister ate what I left behind, and wore what I discarded. That's how it should be. She had to take care of me until I was adopted by the wealthy Sterling family. But they had no extra love to spare for me. My so-called brother wouldn't even look at me properly. I tried acting cute with him, like I used to do with my biological parents, but he avoided me like the plague, as if I were something filthy. The Sterling parents found fault with me all day long, being extremely picky. My real parents would never treat me with such disdain. Why can my sister always get first place in AP classes? Why can't I? Why can my sister marry someone as lofty as Julian Vance, while I'm the one being driven out of the family? I killed my sister in a car accident. I laughed. Laughed heartily. Laughed until my mouth was full of blood. I actually got reborn. Thank goodness. I have been given a second chance to make a choice. I will be the valedictorian. I want to marry Julian. I want to receive more love than my sister. But I messed up. Mr. Miller would take the leather belt hanging on the wall every day and whip it across my back. Mrs. Miller locked me in the basement closet, and if I fell asleep, she would drench me with freezing water. In my past life, did my sister suffer the same fate? I'm a little happy. So, my sister wasn't as glamorous as she appeared in her previous life after all. I'll endure it. I'll meet Julian soon. I have completely fallen off the cliff, covered in filth. I wanted to taint my sister's haughty and unattainable purity. Failed in my past life. I saw her grand wedding on the electronic billboard in Times Square. In this life, I saw her speaking on the podium at Stanford through the electronic screen. Why is this happening? She doesn't deserve to live like this. She still carries sins. She killed Mom and Dad. I chose a special day, and I want to start over again. I turned the car's front end toward my sister again and stomped on the gas pedal. My mouth was full of blood, but I saw Cole shielding my sister tightly in his arms as they rolled toward the side bushes. I failed again. My sister came to see me in prison, expressionless. But I have to admit, I'm jealous of her. Jealous that she has so many supporters. Jealous that she can receive the Sterling family's affection. Jealous that she's been the center of attention since childhood. Jealous that she's prettier than me, she said. Do you remember putting a doll in the microwave? What does she mean? I remember everything now. I saw a horror movie about voodoo dolls on TV, picked up the discarded doll in the corner, and imitated the voodoo actions from the show. I stuck a small post-it note on the doll with scotch tape and wrote my sister's name on it. Her name had too many letters. And in frustration, I threw the doll away. The doll landed right in the trash can, which emitted a foul smell. I remembered a bottle my mom rarely used. When pressed, it would spray a pleasant fragrance. I'll take it to show off to my sister. I entered the kitchen and saw her standing dazedly in front of the stove. With no sign of the snacks I wanted, I might as well bake her instead. I put the doll into the microwave box, and imitating my mother's movements, pressed the buttons randomly. This way, my sister will never compete with me for Mom and Dad's love again. The TV said that if you write her name on a doll, wherever you poke it, she'll feel the pain. I'm going to bake her and turn her into a snack. Cole's side story. 01. I have a new little sister. Her name is Lily. Thin and small. My mom says I'm sick. My heart is cold, and my sister can keep me company. What is a sister? Can I kick her like a football? I saw fear in my mother's eyes. Whatever. 02. Lily is so annoying. Following me around all day like a shadow. She's gained weight. Fair and plump. More like a volleyball now. But I can't kick her. My dad said if I dared to kick my sister, he'd kick me like a football. It's all about empathy. 03. When she graduated from elementary school, she tearfully sent me off to middle school. She graduated from middle school and sent me off to high school with a beaming smile. My heart seemed to warm up. 04. My younger sister got accepted into my university. The Stanford Institute of Physics is so far from where my business classes are. Every time I go to see her, her smiling eyes reflect only my image. 05. The term little sister has unconsciously changed to Lily. 06. I had a nightmare. That filthy thing, Jane, turned into my adopted sister and tried to seduce me. Just a dream, throw it out. My parents were framed and killed by corporate rivals. Lily was hit and killed by a dirty driver. All dead. I am left alone in this world. Utterly transformed into a cold, lifeless corporate machine. Thankfully, it was just a dream. No. That filthy thing at the banquet said I was her brother. To determine whether it was just a dream, I began requesting an executive internship at Sterling Corp. After lying low for a long time, I caught the corporate rival who wanted to kill my parents in advance. It really wasn't just a dream. What about Lily? She lay in the snow, her blood staining the frost. Another winter had come. My heart grew more restless. I could only follow her, every step of the way. Kick me out? You have no idea how many times I've been scolded by those old corporate fossils at the company just to protect you. I saved you, Lily. 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 Look, my heart is warm. I have had 3 sets of parents. I once had extravagant hopes for my biological parents, which ultimately turned into disappointment. I loathed the Miller family, and once thought about putting a doll in the microwave myself, but the flames of the past stopped me. I gave all my love to the Sterling parents. I still call them Mom and Dad, holding hands with Cole. And so concludes a powerful saga of redemption, choices, and breaking generational trauma. Lily's journey from a neglected, abused child to a brilliant, beloved woman proves that our origins do not dictate our destiny. While Jane allowed her greed and malice to be her ultimate downfall, Lily found that true wealth lies not in bank accounts, but in the unconditional love of a chosen family. Thank you for reading.